perfect summer's day. Hundreds of people are now homeless, with over 120 flats inside that building. They've been taken to evacuation centres, and Ashish Joshi is at one of those centres now. Ashish, have you had anyone turn up this morning?
It's been really busy here this morning, but it's difficult to see who they are and why they're coming for, because there are so many people who used this crisis centre yesterday. We know from speaking to the people who run this community centre that it's not a crisis centre anymore as such as it was yesterday, but it's still very much a focal point for the community. I've seen quite a few people turning up here this morning who are clearly distressed and being redirected. One family I spoke to said they were here looking for their loved ones who were in the tower at the time. They didn't want to be interviewed on camera, which is completely understandable, but they were quite distressed, and they said they'd been to various hospitals, to the leisure centre where people were being kept overnight. They've spoken to the police, but they still had absolutely no idea where they could go to find more information. So I suppose that's the difficult part. It's the not knowing and sitting and waiting in what is clearly a very, very anxious time for so many people. But certainly as a centre for help and a centre for aid, they've been inundated with donations from members of the public who came here yesterday from all over the country, not just this neighbourhood, but certainly across the capital, and giving up whatever they could. All of that has been put to good use. They're full, they don't want any more food, they don't want any more donations, but what they say is really required now is cash. And I know there are a number of crowdfunding or similar websites. The Evening Standard, the local paper in London, has set up a Just Giving page. So certainly the emphasis is now on some sort of cash to try and get these people who have been left with nothing or completely destitute, to give them something that they can start help to rebuild their shattered lives.
Ashish, many thanks indeed for that. We're hearing that we're going to get a news conference in about 25 minutes' time. At 1:45, we're going to hear from representatives of the emergency services here and get an update on the situation. So we saw Ashish there in one relief centre. Well, a mile away from the fire is the Al-Manar Mosque. It too has opened its doors as a temporary emergency relief centre. Hundreds of people have been bringing donations for the families of the missing and to residents who've become homeless. Sky's Joe Tidy was there overnight.
We're now entering. As you can see, different charity groups are here to help, and volunteers.
A local mosque transformed. This is more than a safe haven. This is an emergency relief centre.
We're not the only one. There are also other centres trying to help as much as they can. Here you can see almost like a sleeping area, ready for about 20 plus people can come here and sleep.
Al-Manar Mosque is a mile away from Grenfell Tower. With some of the congregation still missing and others needing help, the usual festivities of Ramadan have been cut short.
We have also a large number of our congregation, some of them who were also part of the congregation who were praying with us until last night. Today they are not with us here, so we are assuming something drastic must have happened today.
Come on, guys!
There's locals, there's people. I just met a couple brothers who came from Leicester, and they've driven all the way 3, 4, 5 hours to come help. I mean, this isn't terms of religion, culture, anything like that. It's about humanity.
Elsewhere, in the streets, some people say they've been helping for almost 24 hours. Well, it's well past 1 in the morning here, but these volunteers are going nowhere. The only thing that is leaving is some of the donations. They've received too much at this one location, so they're loading them up into cars. There's a convoy of vehicles ready to take things on to the next location to store them. The help and aid has travelled far to get here.
We've set out at 6 o'clock, opened our fast, travelled all the way from Birmingham, and it's well worth it. Everybody's come together. It's brilliant to see everybody that's united after something so tragic.
Well into the night, the supplies keep coming. Joe Tidy, Sky News.
Well, the priority, of course, is all those who've been affected by this fire, people who've lost family members, lost friends, people who've lost their homes and walked out of that building in nothing but their dressing gowns and nightwear. But also our focus is on the remarkable work of all the emergency services who have been doing an incredible job over the last 30 hours or so. A bit earlier, I spoke to the borough's police chaplain. This is what he had to tell me.
Well, we were with the police and firefighters from 4 a.m. yesterday right through till quite late last night. And what strikes me and everyone who works with them is their professionalism and bravery. And they are extraordinarily brave and professional. And our job at that time, I was there with a team, including the Archbishop of Canterbury came to visit, the Bishop of Kensington. So a lot of support for them. We're all working on the same side. And we're there simply to support them, listen to them, raise morale when we have to, and whatever else is needed at the time.
You must have seen some pretty distressed personnel yesterday.
Exhausted, mainly, working very long shifts. So we're there to be a supportive presence with them. And at the same time, the response of the local community has been amazing. You've seen the amount of donations which have been put in churches and other centres where people are. My own church is awash with all sorts of donations which we're making sure are going to the right people where they need them.
As you're talking, it looks as if there's a shift change going on now amongst the police here. For many, if not all, of those forming part of the police force, the ambulance crews, the fire service, they will have seen yesterday things that they have never seen before and would have hoped never to have seen in their career.
Yeah. I mean, the scale and magnitude of this disaster, as you know, is still unfolding. And being there at the epicenter of it, most of them had never experienced anything on that scale because they were saying so. And so our role then is to support them and encourage them and thank them for what they're doing.
Police chaplain Dr. William Taylor speaking to me a little earlier. You're watching Sky News live from West London. Coming up, we look at the investigation into this fire and how it spread so aggressively.